Good morning and welcome to Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE and online at kvre.com and iHeartRadio. With Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, happy Saturday to you. We're into the month of December, the final month of the year, and there are some really good sports stories unfolding before our eyes in the natural state this week.
Oh, man, I tell you what, it just seemed like week 0 was just here. And it's already gone and coming up with all these championship series. And boy, oh boy. And we knew going into it, Mark, some of the teams that we thought would obviously probably be in the state championship game. But you and I spoke about, local teams here in our particular region. And sure enough, still some in the hunt.
We begin this week's show with a look at high school football. It's been a few weeks since we've talked about the playoff picture, but we have a big one on our hands inside the KVRE listening area later on tonight at 6:30 p.m. It's the Class 7A title game, Bryant versus Bentonville. This is a huge matchup, Tracy, here. The Hornets haven't really been challenged this postseason. You could even make the argument they haven't been challenged this season at all. After a first-round bye, they blanked Cabot 45-0. They took down a pretty spicy PA team 41-7 over Pulaski Academy. And while I assume most people were kind of hoping for the Quad Sanders Buck James state championship game against Buck James Conway Wampus Cats, the Cats fell in a heartbreaker late on the road, handing the Tigers the keys to the truck on the drive to Little Rock and War Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you what, you're taking on the University of Bryant. And basically, they've been driving the truck for quite some time, Mark, so to speak. They've had the keys for, for years and years now. Even though the changing at the helm, it doesn't matter who's ever driving the truck. They still got the baggage in the back just to prove that they're number one in the state. I think you see this. They're sort of taking something out of a segue out of the Texas teams and such that are going, they go out of their conference, they go out of state and play some, really good teams. And I think that just shows, the capability that they have and also what Bryant's made of. It's just that simple. They've proven that they're not only the best in the state, but also in the region. They've played some teams out of Texas, Oklahoma, and they've come home winning on all them. So I don't know what's in the water over there. I just know that they're growing winners over there, Mark.
Bryant's closest game this season was, in fact, the Salt Bowl, also played at War Memorial Stadium, by the way, where they defeated semifinalist Benton by 10 points. They won 5 state championships in a row from 2018 to 2022 before tripped up last season at the hands of this very Bentonville team in the semifinals. Now the boys in blue have the coolest chance for revenge on the biggest stage for all the marbles. Tracy, this is the 7th appearance in the title game in 8 years for the Bryant Hornets, but it's also the 3rd straight for the Bentonville Tigers. I don't know, just something in the water, something about this story this year. This really feels like Bryant's championship to lose.
Oh, well, exactly, because, the confidence that they've had, just like you were saying, they've taken on every team and nobody's even got close to them. Well, Bentonville's a different story. I don't know if it was so much of a team that dominated all their, opponents so much this year, but they won in a fashion when they had to do it, they did it. And, and that a lot of the kids that they won on the championship game from last year graduated. So they're playing with some juniors right now that are really restocking, so to speak. And they do what they have to do. They limit turnovers. Very few penalties. And when it has cost them, they've rallied in the fourth quarter and beat these teams. So you're looking at a team maybe that has, they're churning on all cylinders right now. And then, just like you said, it's a Bryant team that maybe could go in there a little too overconfident,
Well, that's the thing. Of course, Bentonville obviously spoiling Bryant's championship run last season. This certainly will be the biggest test for the Hornets that I think they've faced all season. And sometimes it's a bad thing to to dominate your entire schedule going into the title game without really being battle tested, because whenever you go up against an opponent of the caliber of Bentonville, are you ready to stand tall in the face of adversity? Are you ready to show out in a close ball game, maybe even a game where you might even be trailing? I know we're talking about Bryant losing in a game ever, but this is the situation that you have to be ready for, and you don't have game time experience for it. All you have is going back and looking at game film from last year's team and saying, well, this is the team that we saw last year. However, like you mentioned, a lot of turnover with the Tigers, Bentonville graduating a lot of seniors from last year's squad that went all the way to the title game. So I think this is going to be a really fun one to watch. Of course, they're going to make it the primetime marquee matchup, 6:30 p.m. game. But when you break it down by the numbers, Tracy, Jordan Walker, the quarterback for Bryant, is the real deal. He averages 20 yards per completion in the passing game, and he is just shy of 9 yards per rush in the running game. He's the complete package. He can do it all. He's going to be playing at a very good Division I school on Saturdays next year. And another young man that's really helped step up is Daniel Anderson. He's the senior running back for the squad, 12 rushing touchdowns, averages 8 yards per carry. This is a running game specifically that has been so hard to defend, and people have access to the game film. It's 2024. You can see and you can know what this Bryant squad is doing, and you can have a whole week, 2 weeks, you can have a whole season to prepare for what Quad Sanders and his guys are going to bring to the table, and still have difficulty stopping them on Friday night, or in this case, Saturday night.
No doubt about it. I mean, it's like you said, Mark. I'll concur you on that one. It's their game to lose, and it's just that simple. They've got some dynamic skill positions, but then you and I've talked about this for years and years and years. Games won in the trenches, and when it comes to their line, goodness gracious, you talked about D1. They've got several linemen down there that, they'll be playing on Saturday. There's no doubt about that. May not all be on D1, but there will be some players off of that squad that will go and play next year, because they move and they move mountains. It's just that simple. I don't know if I could maybe rush for 9 yards a carry, but I probably could get 4 or 5 in there behind those guys. They're huge. They're big. But then you look on the other side, Bentonville. They're big too, but they're fast. I've seen teams. These two teams actually look like, I'm not kidding you, Division II college teams. They really do. If you've ever seen these squads play, you know what I'm talking about. But I encourage you, if you can't make it to Memorial, watch it on TV, Google it, whatever you watch these two teams, because these are the powerhouses of Arkansas, and they've got the capability of being a really, really good game. I think it's going to be something special. We got a couple of games on that day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, the 6A state championship game as well. Greenwood and Shiloh Christian. That is a 12 noon kickoff today. The Bulldogs are the reigning 6A state champions. They look to take down the Saints in what should be a fun one in Little Rock. And this is the 5th straight year for Greenwood playing for the trophy. It's the 6th straight trip to the title game for the Saints. We're looking at two absolute dynasties. We talk about Bryant and what Bryant has been able to do in the state of Arkansas in recent years, 7 finals appearances in 8 years. You're looking at collectively some of the best teams to ever play high school football, I think, ever in the state, and a great era for high school football right now. Just like Bryant, Greenwood hasn't been challenged this year. They're one of the best teams in the state, regardless of classification. The Saints lost to Parkview in the 5A title game last year. They were in Class 4A the year before. Let's back that up for a second. So the private schools here in Arkansas, they've made some changes to the classification. Now, basically the ruling is if you achieve success, if you're successful as a program, you continue to move up until you're not really successful anymore. We just talked about Pulaski Academy is a 7A team now. I remember when PA was a 4A team. And of course,
Fountain Lake played them.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And the progression that Shiloh Christian has had, I mean, absolutely dominating Class 4A for years. Go up to 5A last year, playing the title game, lose, bumped up to 6A, and here they are in the title game for the 6th straight year. Doesn't matter what division that they're in. Whatever argument you want to make about private schools, everybody certainly has their opinion on private schools and their success here in the state of Arkansas, but they're definitely a threat to win it all. These two teams played already this year. Greenwood won 28-17 back in week 4. And you got to think, for the Bulldogs, of course, a dynasty-like program, yes, but of course, playing with an extra chip on their shoulder, extra heavy hearts this year. Of course, the big story happening with Greenwood this year, losing Isaiah Arrington back in October, the star wide receiver for Greenwood.
Yeah, we got to be thinking of him. They're wearing patches on their jerseys now in reference to him, and we wish the best for that family. And but overcome and over. Here's overachievers at the best, because it seems like they just line up. Somebody goes down, they line up somebody else, and it's Greenwood at its finest. But if you recall that game, the score's not indicative of what the game was really all about.
Sure.
Greenwood scores late, and a turnover is the difference. So this could be a deciding factor. Once again, limit turnovers, limit penalties, and take care of business. And that's just it. And you know how much Shiloh throws. Greenwood throws a little bit also. So what I'm getting at is that when they practice, you got defensive squads that know what they're doing. So the defense is capable of taking care of business against a team that's passing. So it's going to be a great game. I believe this is going to be the better game, I'll be honest with you, of the day. I think this is going to be really good. Early start, 12, it may be a little dicey. They're used to playing on Friday nights under the lights.
It's almost disrespectful in a way, and I know there's so many games to get in, and I'm so negative on the AAA. I should cut him a break for the holiday season, I guess.
No,
but
no.
two okay, maybe not. Two very marquee matchups this Saturday. Go out and see both of them. You're going to see elite level high school football here in the state of Arkansas. Some of the best programs in the state, regardless of classification. I think you're going to have a lot of fun tonight in War Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I think it's going to be a great, way to get. If you're going over and you're doing maybe a little shopping, hey, go on over there and take a look. There'll be tickets available, and it's going to be some really good football altogether. It'll be enjoyable for the kids, for the family and stuff, especially if you're into football. I'm going to back up real quick, Mark, because I want everybody out there, to realize, and I hated that it happened to, of all things, Lakeside, but the never give up attitude. Even at the high school level, never get up. They were down by 3 scores, and within 2 minutes and 20 seconds, they were winning the ball game. And when I'm talking about this, it was a great game, but Farmington pulled it together. And I don't know if they want to take on Parkview or not, but still, though, what a game! Up by 21, and then all of a sudden you're down on. And we talk about 3 phases of the ball game. Offense, defense, and what?
Special teams.
And that made the difference in that game. And I don't want to harp on it too much because I know it hurts Lakeside, but golly, man, don't ever give up. It's that simple.
I don't know that it hurts Lakeside. They should be so proud of what they achieved this year in Coach Rock, because they advanced to the 5A semifinals for the first time in 49 years. It was 1975 the last time the Rams were in the Final Four. They go on the road to a very good Farmington team. They come up just short. I believe it's a 4-point loss for the Rams. And you're right, Little Rock Parkview is awaiting the winner in this one. And you want Parkview because it means that you're in the title game, but you also don't want Parkview because, boy, they are a really good football team. And I think you could line up even some of these other teams that we've talked about. Bryant, because Parkview beat Bryant, remember, ended their in-game winning streak. You could line up Shiloh Christian. You could line up Greenwood against Parkview and still not be for sure win there. I think the Patriots are here to stay atop the 5A, and it's nice to see that level of success staying in Central Arkansas as opposed to the northwest corner.
Well, and I text Bobby the other day, the Bolden brothers, Bobby, and here's what he told me. He goes, we're finally healthy. I mean, what?
Yeah, right.
So he goes, we're finally healthy.
Could have fooled us.
And I went, well, what in the world? He goes, well, we're just, we're 2 and 3 deep, but we're finally healthy, and I think we're hitting our best stride right now. I said, well, then why even play? My goodness gracious.
Nice flex, bro.
Yeah, I said, really? Just come on, here's some salt too. Why don't you? But sure enough, that's what he was concerned about some of his skill positions at first because they had problems at quarterback earlier, and they play a 1-2 quarterback anyway. Mm-hmm. And so he said, but as it is right now, we're finally healthy. So I'm curious. What are they going to have next year?
Well, I know that next year we'll have some Lakeside Rams representing the state of Arkansas and Hot Springs at the next level, and they absolutely deserved it. Congratulations on a fantastic run and representing Hot Springs extremely well. Championship Saturday on the high school level, Championship Saturday on the college level. When we come back, college football is on tap for quarter number 2. Don't go anywhere. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition continues in a moment on 92.9 KVRE.
Second quarter coming up.
And we're back, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE with Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, we talked about it last week. Rivalry week in college football lived up to everything as advertised, I believe. I don't know even know where you want. Is it the brawl on the field with Michigan, Ohio State? Michigan taking down the number 2 ranked Buckeyes? Is it, I don't know, Georgia and Georgia Tech going to 8, count them, 8 overtimes? What a great rivalry week that we saw on the gridiron.
I know I'm still out of breath because once we started watching them 11 o'clock that morning, we went to 11 o'clock that night.
Oh, yes.
And we had everything else combined, leftovers from Thanksgiving. I'm still just, I don't know, I'm just reeling it in. It was great. I thought, Chris from Solutions Home Entertainment was texting me going, are we going to see history in the making? And I'm like, maybe. I remember Arkansas and Ole Miss going for 8 back in the day, several years ago. But sure enough, it was unbelievable. But after it's all said and done, Mark, we still got these games that are coming up. And my question to you, we're going to talk about this a little bit more in depth, and I'm sure at some point in time. Why do we have conference championship games? I'm just curious.
Well, so for right now, that's going to help adjust the CFP playoff bracket. And I say this in air quotes with a little bit of sarcasm here. So, Tracy, the 12-team Week 15 bracket projection is out. And, of course, tomorrow, after these championship games, tomorrow the final bracket will be revealed. And we've been saying this for weeks. If you've been watching how this plays out, the advancement to 12 teams in this league, there's going to be a lot of disagreements. There's going to be a lot of upsets, a lot of good teams that are left out, and questionable teams that are left in. I'm looking at you, Alabama, sitting at the number 11 spot. A 3-loss Alabama team is causing a lot of controversy this week as teams like Miami, with just 2 losses, are sitting outside. Other 2-loss teams are going to miss the 12-team playoff, while a 3-loss Alabama team, which just got manhandled by Oklahoma, looks like it could be sitting pretty. Now, there's not going to be a lot of adjustment, but there are 4 really big marquee games going on today that could mix up the order a little bit in the top 12. Of course, the Big Ten championship game has number 1 Oregon versus number 3 Penn State. That should be a really good game. SEC championship, Texas and Georgia, who's back in after that big win. In the ACC championship, SMU and Clemson, and normally we wouldn't talk about this game, but in the bracket predictions, SMU is ranked 8th in the top 25 poll, but because they are in line to win their conference championship, they could actually get a first-round bye and the 3 seed in the CFP, and which just blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind.
Yeah.
And, of course, Arizona State is number 12 in the nation. They take on Iowa State, number 16 in the Big 12 championship. Arizona State is holding on to that number 12 spot in the projected rankings and looking to stay in for a chance to, play for a national championship this year, I guess.
Okay, well, so, all right. They lose. Let's just do they lose.
Yeah.
Does a hungry South Carolina team bump up? That's what's confusing right now. Why are we even playing these championship games if it doesn't mean that if they lose, they get out of the bracket?
That's true. That's true.
Why?
You're right. Arizona State in this instance could lose and miss altogether. You could probably even make that argument for SMU also, who currently sits projected with a first-round bye in the bracket. Let's say Clemson takes them down, number 18 ranked Clemson. Mm-hmm. Do you keep SMU in?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So I don't envy these voters at all. This committee, Yeah, they're going to be getting a lot of hate mail, I think, because you can't make everybody happy. You just absolutely can't. But as it stands right now, in the first round, let's say that everything stays according to their projections. You'd see Arizona State, Penn State, round 1. Penn State, who is number 3 in the nation, let's say they lose to Oregon because number 1 versus number 3, someone has to lose there, right? The number 3 team in the nation still having to play in the first round is baffling to me. Tennessee, Ohio State would be facing off. Alabama, Notre Dame, Indiana, your Indiana Hoosiers taking on Georgia in projected round 1 matchups. And then your quarterfinalists, your first round buys, Oregon, fine, they deserve it. Texas, fine, they're number 2 in the nation. But SMU and Boise State, because those spots are now reserved for conference champions.
See, is the AAA running this? I'm just curious. I mean,
it probably sounded good on paper whenever they drew it up. Because why play these conference championship games?
Why?
This is why you play those conference championships games, because they determined they had to make it worth playing for. It's an extra game for revenue. Let's not
that's the bottom line right there.
Forget that this is an extra game for revenue. But to sweeten the deal, the winner of those championship games gets that little sweet spot there with that first round bye. And now you're going to see teams. I mean, Boise State's 10th in the nation. SMU is 8th in the nation. These two teams are going to be sitting with first round byes potentially. It's absolutely wild. I'm of the opinion that the top teams ranked in the poll
should get the
I mean, if you're going to put this much stock and this much emphasis in the top 25 poll, and we're following all year long, and this is really what we've used as the college football Bible really for years, to not incorporate that as your bracket set up for the CFP doesn't really make a lot of sense for me. But one thing's for sure, I think out of all 4 of these games, I think we're going to see still some really good football as we get set for not only the CFP, but also bowl season right around the corner. And let's transition a little bit. Let's talk about it. Let's rip off the Band-Aid. Arkansas and Missouri.
No.
28-21. Another close game, another one-score game, but the Razorbacks drop it, right? They fall in Columbia to 6-6 on the season. We talked about this being worst-case scenario. They were 3-5 in SEC play, and the rumor mill this week, Tracy, despite the 6-6 losing to Missouri, the rumor mill is trending toward Sam Pittman returning for another season on the Hill. What are your thoughts?
That's what he's already said the other day. He made a social media statement, and Yurchek went right with him. So we've seen stranger things happen. What was that coach at Michigan that said, "I'm not going anywhere"? Well, I think Sam is, "I hope to stay right here," because so far Yurchek, I don't think he hasn't hit the table yet and spun it around to see who's in line for the. Because if you ask me, he's already got an offensive coordinator that could probably step in. How Arkansas would take that, I don't know. But also, the rumors was Yurchek was leaving too, but he also says, "I'm not going anywhere." He's back out to South Carolina, out in that region where his family and stuff are. But hey, look, there's a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. But as it is right now, it's a moral victory. We were close once again. But I just hate it for those kids that just tried so hard, and then all of a sudden, here we go again. Penalties, turnovers, not only in the Southeast Conference, Arkansas, with penalties, but with turnovers. Not just the Southeast Conference. In the whole United States, they were one of the top teams for turnovers. I mean, come on, really? Think about that.
I know that it's frustrating
that comes from the top, Mark. That comes from the top.
And it's week after week. It's like being on the playground against the schoolyard bully and just taking punch after punch after punch. You stay standing. That's your moral victory. You don't get knocked down. You don't let them see you cry. You don't let them see you bleed, but it still hurts. And that's what it really feels like to be, I assume, a fan of the Arkansas Razorbacks football team. A very passionate fan base, obviously, with that news coming out that Pittman was going to stay.
Right.
I think it was very negatively received. And you start to read the room. Objectively, I start looking at the body language of everyone else. So a lot of rumors this week about Bobby Petrino sliding in as a head coach somewhere else, which, he is absolutely head coach material. I don't know if he can be head coach at Arkansas again. I heard a rumor this week that said that he might be ineligible since he was fired for cause last time. I don't know if that's a substantiated fact or not.
Mark, they make rules.
I figure
rules are to be broken.
I figure as much, but here's the deal. Petrino is absolutely worthy of being a head coach somewhere. The rumor mill is flying that tying him to possibly one of the schools in North Carolina. But also, you continue to read the body language. How about the transfer portal? Malachi Singleton puts his name into the transfer portal, says, hey, I'm out. I'm looking for a new home. And Singleton, had a pretty good year, filled in for Green in 5 games, scored that go-ahead touchdown as Arkansas beat Tennessee, and looked pretty good, completed 75% of his passes, threw for 1, ran for 3. But you start to see that body language, and then you start to think, man, this really feels like it's one domino away from falling absolutely apart. If you think 6 and 6, I can't even believe I'm saying this. 6-6 is at least stable for what Arkansas has done in recent years. We got to remember the John L. Smith days. And it could be worse.
2-10.
It really feels like we're one domino away of falling backward back to those days.
We're one card away from the whole house falling down.
It feels like that.
I'm just telling you right now.
It really does.
If we go 6-7, the portal is not going to be wide enough. I'm telling you right now. Star Trek could even open it up far enough, okay? There's no Gene Roddenberry here. It's going to be, everybody's going to leave. I promise you that.
And all this to say, I was a proponent for keeping Sam Pittman. I still am, but you got to temper your expectations a little bit. And I'm only a fan of it because I feel like with some of these games, and maybe it's glass half full, which is a little bit odd for me, to be honest with you, but with some of these games, with them being as close as they were, maybe they are just a couple of key pieces away from turning the ship around in some of these games. They're going to lose a lot of talent to graduation as well. We can't forget. But I look ahead with maybe more promise with Sam Pittman at the helm than I do of, okay, get rid of Pittman, Petrino leaves, let's assume Petrino leaves, then you're really starting from square one with who? Who wants to come to Arkansas and get bullied by the top dogs in the SEC who have more NIL money, more 5-star recruits? I mean, unless you just get a miracle overnight, I don't see next season Arkansas, I don't care who you get, I don't see Arkansas magically turning on the switch and saying, oh, I'm taking down Alabama, taking down Georgia, Ole Miss, you're mine, Texas, see ya, and we're the top dogs in the SEC now.
Wait, you left out A&M and Missouri.
The list goes on, right? I don't see it happening if you have to clean house and start over from scratch.
Mark, and here's the situation. Just get ready for mediocrity. I'm just telling you.
I think the state has been ready. They're used to it.
Just stay, because that's where it's going to go. The old schools, And we win some of the big ones, and then we whatever. That's just the way it's going to be. I'm telling you, because you're not going to get those 4s and 5s now that Texas is in here. Even Oklahoma had a look. Hey, SEC welcomed Oklahoma. You see what happens. But I'm going to tell you right now, they'll rebuild. But you know where the players come from? Florida, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Texas. And don't get me wrong. There's some in Alabama, and all, but those where they go to find recruits. And now that they're in the SEC, guess what? I got news for you. It's going to be a whole different ballgame. So you are Razorback fans, just keep the faith.
Hey, listen, as a fan, and here's me, as a fan of some really terrible teams. I'm a White Sox fan, worst in the MLB. I'm unfortunately a Chicago Bears fan. We're going to talk about that later on in the show. And I'm a fan of the Utah Jazz in the NBA, one of the absolute worst in the league.
Carl and John are gone.
I know bad teams. I know what it's like to have that paper bag on your head mentality. It has to get better from here. It just doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon.
Mark, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to let it go after this, okay? But you were talking about this earlier. At 9-3, Alabama stays in. Why? Because they're fans. They travel well, and they spend a lot of money. And they make a lot of money. Because I guarantee you the likes of Miami, Iowa State, BYU, Army, hey, look at this. Army, 1 loss.
Yeah.
There's a lot of teams out there that have 2 in single digit. And you got Alabama with 3. I'll let it go.
Can't stand it. Can't stand it. All right, when we come back, we've got more on the show next. Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition continues in a moment on 92.9 KVRE.
Third quarter coming up.
And we're back, quarter number 3 on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE, online at kvre.com. He's Tracy Simpson. I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, whether it was the Buffalo Bills trouncing the 49ers in the snow and Josh Allen making a little history in the process, he's the first quarterback ever to throw for a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and rush for a touchdown in a single game. Or maybe it was the Chicago Bears choking on their Thanksgiving dinner, handing the Lions a win on a silver platter. Week 13 of the NFL season had its share of interesting moments. The Chargers got a big win to keep their playoff hopes alive, 17-13 over the Falcons. The Steelers outlasted the Bengals on a big day for Russell Wilson. The Vikings trip up the Cardinals for 5 wins in a row, and the Seahawks take over the NFC West with a 5-point win over the Jets. There were a lot of close games. 11 games decided by 1 score or fewer. But I think we have to start with the biggest question mark that came through that Thanksgiving week of football games, and that was that Thanksgiving Day game, the Bears and the Lions. Chicago rallies back from being dead to rights early in the second half. They're 3 points away from tying the game. They advance all the way down to the Lions' 25-yard line, field goal range, and then they get a penalty, and then Caleb Williams is sacked. With 36 seconds left and 1 timeout, the Bears decide, I'm not going to call timeout. I'm going to throw a last-second Hail Mary. It fails, and it's the craziest thing ever. I'm sitting and I'm watching this game, and of course I've got a Lions fan watching that's over for Thanksgiving. I'm a Bears fan, and I was sitting here thinking, this is going to go overtime and we're going to blow it. No, we're not even going to go to overtime. We're just going to blow it anyway. That was about as painful of a football game as you could watch, not even for a Bears fan, just for an NFL fan in general. Did you happen to catch this one?
Oh, yeah. I'm just curious. These guys are getting paid real money for this. I mean, real good money to make calls like that. It amazes me week to week the amount of money that they're making for these games to be so fundamentally unsound. I'll be honest with you. Sometimes it appeared to be pee-wee football. I kid you not. That's what it looked like. Whether you want that game or you want the Raiders game or whatever the case is, it just amazes me. It boggles my mind that they make that kind of money and these calls are being made, or that kind of football. Whether you're letting the clock run out or you're just throwing erroneous plays in there that don't match up. I don't understand it. You know me, I'm like, how does it happen, Mark?
Well, Tracy, you say these guys are making a lot of money to make these calls. I'm going to say these guys were making a lot of money to make these calls.
My bad. Sorry about that one. Chicago, I'm sorry.
After the game, Coach Matt Eberflus said, quote, he liked what they did there, and, quote, I think we handled it the right way. Eberflus was fired the following day after one of the worst clock management decisions in history. Tracy, the Chicago Bears have never in franchise history fired a coach in the middle of the season. They've always rode it out to the end. They decided there's absolutely no way. The negative publicity, the wild commentary after the game, the very publicly negative reception from Bears players themselves. Here's the deal. There were a lot of questions about what happened here. I've said it a lot of times. You guys know by now, I am a true Chicago Bears fan, thick and thin. Mediocrity, I'd be happy with mediocrity. That's not even what we have right here. What happened in this game? There is only one actual answer here. Here's the deal. The Bears are looking up from the basement, and they see the Lions. They are the projected favorite to win the Super Bowl this year. They also see the Vikings and the Packers, who are 10-win and 9-win teams, respectively. 2 of the wild cards are likely coming from this division, and most likely, even in this game against the Lions, there is no actual path to the playoffs from here. The Bears have had 6 losses this year by less than 1 touchdown. 6. And some of those are the biggest head scratchers that you could ever see. There's only one answer here, Tracy. The Bears put on a spectacle, a comeback attempt, I think, to show that they were capable, because I think everybody saw that the Bears absolutely had all the momentum late in that football game, but they let it go in the end because that was always the game plan. This is a Bears team that is tanking for a good draft pick, plain and simple. You see, they started off this season. Remember, they were 4-2 at one point. 6 games in, they were 4-2. 2 games over 500, looked really, really good. Looked like, oh man, this team might actually turn it around this year. This is a team that I think could have turned it around if they really wanted to. 6 losses by less than a score, but I think the front office has other things in mind. I do believe that this Bears team is very, very close to actually being a playoff contender football team, but they're going to have to do it with new leadership because I think Eberflus took one for the team. He's going to get a nice little payout with his salary. I don't know if he's going to coach in the NFL again because he was one of the worst coaches ever in one-score games, period. And it's just really sad to see. You don't want to, nobody's ever going to come out and admit, yeah, we're tanking because you can't. But I think it's just terrible. And it doesn't matter what sport it's for. I think it's absolutely terrible for the game.
Okay. I can't see them doing that at a professional level. Now, maybe shading the score a little bit to win Vegas. Yeah, I can see that. But tanking a complete game, let's say they're doing it. Okay. Who are they projecting as they need? They have a brand new quarterback that's learning. What are they tanking for? What position? I mean,
it's got to be offensive line.
Their line. Oh no, yeah,
it has to be.
Kid's getting beat up. He's just getting beat up.
DeAndre Swift was a big offseason pickup. Can't really do anything in the running game. I mean, this whole situation came down. Caleb Williams gets sacked right there in field goal territory. If I'm Chicago, and of course I don't think they decided at that moment, hey, we're in tank right here, but I believe that they're looking to bolster the offensive line out of this year's draft. Okay. And now, sitting at 4 wins and however many losses at this point, they're going to be in pretty decent position to get who they want, I think, out of this draft. But it's a really sad sight to see.
Well, I thought that's for Dallas also, okay?
I mean, they're in the same boat if you really think about it.
And at 5-7, they're not anywhere closer either. They're not clearly like the black and blue division by no means, but I don't see them coming back. Now, if Dak hadn't had surgery, shoulda, coulda, wouldas, maybe, but not with their particular quarterback. Last year, he was the golden child, but this year, and the defense is sort of trying to come back a little bit. I don't think they're tanking them, so to speak.
I don't see a path to victory for the Cowboys either. I don't see a path to the playoffs at all.
So let's say they are. There's a couple other teams in front of them, though, that have worse records, Mark. So they're not going to get the 1 and 2s. They may get 3 and 4. Dallas has already given up 2 and second-round picks. So they do have a first-round pick coming. But as it is right now, maybe shading some points for Vegas. I could see that.
So you don't think the tank theory has any merit whatsoever?
I don't think there's enough. If they're doing that, and the fan that you are, we already went back here to 1919. Was that when it was?
They're literally 2 games different from the worst team in the league. Okay. The Jacksonville Jaguars.
My man, boy,
or the Raiders, either one. But they're literally 2 games differential from having that number 1 pick in the draft for 2 straight years. You don't think it's a thing?
It's a possibility.
It is a possibility.
But a coach wants to lose his job?
I think it's a reality. I think he was gone regardless.
Well, he was gone. There's no doubt about that. But I know there's a certain coach up there rolling over in his grave right now going, what in the world is going on? And
there's some coaches that are still alive that are rolling over anyway right now, like Lovie Smith.
Oh, my goodness.
That's like, they got rid of me for less than what this team's getting now. Looking ahead to Week 14, the Vikings and the Falcons look like an intriguing matchup this week, as are the Seahawks and the Cardinals, number 1 and number 2 in the NFC West, respectively. Chiefs have the Chargers, while I think another interesting matchup could be the Steelers and the Browns. Since Jameis Winston took over at quarterback, Cleveland has been putting up some monster video game style numbers, especially last Monday night over the Broncos. Even if it was a losing effort, Winston throws for almost 500 yards against a very defensively sound Denver Broncos spot, which is currently in the playoff picture.
Number 1 defense.
I would not overlook Cleveland in that Pittsburgh game. I know Pittsburgh's very good defensively as well, but so was Denver, and that one came right down to the wire. Cleveland may have its answer offensively, a little too late for this year, but going ahead, they might actually have the pieces in place they need to be competitive once again in the
got
AFC North.
They've got some big games coming up at the Dog Pound that could really upset some other teams, though. So they got they got that to play for also. So we'll see what happens with that. But 2 interceptions for touchdowns. Is he trying too hard though? I mean, he threw that one right to the guy. He threw it right straight to the guy.
Trying too hard, I guess. I mean, when you think about
Jameis, tanking it.
I mean, Winston is just fighting to be a starter in the NFL. Period. Think about all the teams that he has been on since he's come into the league. He's just trying to find a home and finding people that trust and believe in him.
Yeah, and he's having, in the way his style of play on the field right now, he's having fun, finally. It looks like it to me. And the players, and at quarterback, you have to have the players behind you, and they do. I mean,
2 weeks ago, he was making snow angels on the field during the snow game.
But it really looks like he's got the support of the team, and you gotta have that.
Yeah,
I'm going to reverse because we're going to bring this up next week too. This is going to be one of our topics next week. Quarterback play, getting hits. Jaguars, hello.
Yeah, the Trevor Lawrence situation.
But we're going to bring this up next week about what is too much to take care of the quarterback and why are they doing not enough. So we'll talk about that next week, not this week.
Great question. Fourth quarter coming up next. This is Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE.
Fourth quarter coming up.
And the fourth quarter is here on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition, 92.9 KVRE. With Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. Tracy, last Monday out at the Kettle at National Park College, a great tailgate festivities for everyone that showed out. We had a record crowd in the building for the Nighthawks opening NJCAA Region 2 games against SAU Tech. Our friends from Camden made the trip and made quite the ball games on Monday night. In women's action, the Nighthawks defeated SAU Tech 59-57 in an absolute nail-biter. In this ball game, NPC takes an early lead in the first quarter, falls flat over quarters 2 and 3. Entering the final act, the Nighthawks are down by 10 points. They rally for a 20-3 run to take the lead. This game is tied in the final seconds of the game, and the Nighthawks are able to punch in the winning layup just before time expired to take down the reigning Region 2 champions and a Lady Rockets team that advanced to the national championship tournament a year ago. Eddie Broughton's Nighthawks are now 8-3 on the season, looking as good as ever, but this one was a really big one for the Nighthawks to win.
Yeah, and that's the whole, situation, and people got to realize, if y'all are just now tuned in and haven't been listening to us for a while, but you're talking about a situation where new coaches, new players and stuff, and trying to sit, it's early in the season. You're still trying to figure things out. And I think that, hey, look, I think it's promising whether in these close games, Mark, people don't realize close games. I mean, you're limited to players too, also, and the familiarity of the style of play also. So they're just now getting into the, I guess, the newlywed situation, and so they're trying to figure things out, Mark.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. This Nighthawk women's basketball team is really special this year. Record crowd, probably the biggest crowd we've ever had for a women's basketball game in the Kettle ever. And, you talk about the comeback, down by 10 entering the fourth quarter. This is a team that, even though they were down by double digits, never felt like they were out of the action. Kayla Garrett erupts for 8 points right out of the gate in the fourth quarter, helping spur that comeback. Parrish Norfleet was also incredible down the stretch. She finished with 12 points and 10 rebounds in a double-double. Hey, and once again, twin sister Kyra Garrett from Brownsboro, Texas, leads the Nighthawks in the win, scoring 13 points. And now NPC gearing up for a big Monday night showdown with South Arkansas College. But let's talk about men's action as well. In Monday's action, it was a physical ball game. NPC never trailed against their rival from Camden, SAU Tech. They held off a late rocket rally to soar across the finish line. Freshman forward Joseph Washington started the game with the first 5 points of the game. They built a 9-2 lead in the first couple of minutes. Sophomore forward Brody Emberton from Clinton was really tough to defend in the paint. He scored 11 points in the first half. And Mondo Watkins, the pride of Lake Hamilton High School, the sophomore and the returner from last year's national championship team, erupted down the stretch, knocking down 11 of 12 free throws in the ball game, finished with 23 points as NPC holds off SAU Tech late to take a 97-90 victory. NPC on the men's side, they're ranked number 20th in the country. They are 8-3 this year.
Yeah, and Mark, this is so important, guys out there. Free throws. How important? Larry Bird made a statement one time, and I was watching that. Even after practice, he used to go in there and do another 100 free throws. Magic Johnson, same thing. Michael Jordan, same thing. That if you look back in the history of their games and stuff, that a fourth of their points come from where? The free line. And so how important was that? Just prove your point right there. And so if you're out there and you're still playing ball or you're coaching, to think about how important that free throw line is. Unbelievable,
I'm in that gym a lot. Of course, tinkering with my toys, setting up equipment, checking cords and cables. These guys are in the gym all the time, always. Mondo Watkins pretty much lives in the gym at National Park College, and the breakout year that we're seeing from him is evident of that work that he is putting in. So, next home game is Monday night against South Arkansas College, the only team to defeat Nighthawk men's basketball last year. They've had this one circled for a while, I promise you. So if you want to see some really good basketball, the women's team starts things off at 5:30. The men tip off at 7:30 against the Stars. I think a little bit of revenge might be on tap in this one. Both teams looking very, very good in their NJCAA Region 2 starts this year. 5:30 for the women, 7:30 for the men. I'll have all the action live at np.edu/live.
Man, and that's so, Mark, everybody needs to listen up, gang. This is important. Hey, look, it's that time of the year. I know we still got a lot of football going on, but it's cold outside. It's always warm in the gym. And there's nothing better, man, to get in there and just feel the excitement. What's best about it, man? It's here, especially some of these local games. Go out and see it. You can listen to Mark, have a good time. Take some kids with you. Enjoy it. It's our local hometown favorite, and I think it's a plus for not only the program but for the whole region, for the city of Hot Springs.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we're seeing, especially with these two squads this year, more local talent trickling in. Yeah, we've got our superstars from all across the country, sure, but the local talent being represented as well has worked as such a great recruiting mechanism, not only for the high schools in the area, but for National Park College as well. That's our show here on Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition. What a great hour we've had. It always goes by too fast, Tracy.
Man, and you know what? We want to thank all of our sponsors out there, plus you fans, man. Hey, keep that text line going, 915-1300, something you want to hear about, something you want us to converse about. Let us know, 915-1300.
That's our show, Sports and Shorts Tailgate Edition on 92.9 KVRE. We'll see you next Saturday at 10 a.m. For Tracy Simpson, I'm Mark Oliver. We'll catch you next week.
Game over.